This year, the average American worker opened a letter like this one, a raise, 3.5%, right on the national average. Handshakes, maybe a nice dinner. Here's what the letter didn't say. This morning, the government published the latest inflation number, 3.5%, exactly the size of that raise. After prices, the average American worked a full year for a real raise of nothing. And for most of that year, it was worse. Real pay was actually shrinking. You felt it before you could prove it. The raise landed, and somehow the month still got harder. Today, you get the proof and the number behind it. Because every month at exactly 8:30 in the morning, the government publishes the one figure that silently reprices your salary, your savings, and your future. Most people never read it. The people who set your raise budget, they count on that. By the end of this video, you'll read that number like a professional, and you'll know exactly what to say in your next salary review. In 1928, economist Irving Fisher gave the trick a name, the money illusion. Human brains, he realized, think in the number printed on the paycheck, not in what that number can buy. Decades later, researchers proved how deep it runs. Offer people a 2% raise during 4% inflation, and they call it fair. Offer a 2% pay cut during zero inflation, mathematically the identical outcome, and they call it an outrage. Same result, opposite feelings. Your brain runs on nominal dollars, your rent runs on real ones. Run it on a real salary, $75,000 plus this year's average raise, $77,625. Sounds like progress. Now calculate what you need just to buy what $75,000 bought last year at this year's inflation, $77,625. The same number, to the dollar. Your raise wasn't progress. It was a treadmill, and you celebrated it. That's the money illusion. And in 2026, it's not a thought experiment. It's the national average. Here's the story of American purchasing power in 4 data points. December, real wages. That's wages after inflation, growing 1.1%. A win. March, plus 0.3, barely breathing. May, minus 0.8, actively getting poor. And this morning's report for June, 0, a dead heat, not from layoffs, not from a crash, just from prices quietly outrunning paychecks for a year, and only now easing off. The mechanics are painfully simple. Paychecks are growing 3.5% a year. Prices, as of this morning, 3.5. When those numbers tie, your raise buys nothing. When inflation edges ahead, it down by 9. As it did for most of the past year, a slice of your income evaporates, invisibly, automatically, without a single decision made by you. And here's the part almost nobody tells you. Your raise was decided before inflation reaccelerated. Companies set 2026 salary budgets months in advance. 3.5%, the third year in a row at essentially the same number. The consulting firm that runs the biggest salary survey called it a disconnect out loud. The budgets assumed inflation was beaten. Inflation had other plans. One more uncomfortable stat. 83% of employers spread that budget evenly across the whole organization. Translation, your individual performance moves your raise far less than you think. The pool was fixed before your review was ever scheduled. So let's meet the number doing all this damage. Once a month, the Bureau of Labor Statistics releases the Consumer Price Index, the CPI. Government employees literally track the prices of tens of thousands of items, everything from rent to eggs to haircuts, and compress them into one percentage. But the CPI isn't a simple average. It's weighted like a household budget, and one category dominates: shelter. Housing is roughly a third of the entire index, which means when rent rises, the CPI moves, and when the CPI moves, everything indexed to it moves. Tax brackets, social security checks, and the negotiating leverage behind your raise. You'll also hear 2 versions of the number. Headline includes everything. Core strips out food and energy, not because they don't matter, but because they're volatile. Economists watch core. Here's the thing though, you don't eat core. Your life happens in headline. And one honest caveat, the CPI is a national average, and nobody is average. A renter in a hot city, a long-distance commuter, a family paying for childcare. Each lives a different inflation rate. sometimes far above the headline. The published number isn't your number, but it's the closest thing you have to a scoreboard if you know how to read it. So here's your 90-second masterclass. The report drops at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, usually mid-month. You need exactly 4 lines. Line 1, all items year over year, the headline. That's the speed your cost of living is climbing. Line 2, shelter. A third of the index, remember. If shelter is hot, the headline stays hot, whatever gas prices do. Line 3, food at home, the grocery line, the one your stomach already knows. And line 4 isn't even in the CPI report. It's the average hourly earnings figure from the jobs report. Wages. Then you run the only equation that matters. Wages minus prices. Positive? The average worker is gaining ground. Negative, like most of this past year, and the country is taking a silent pay cut. And exactly 0, like this morning, a full year of work for nothing gained. Congratulations. You now read inflation reports better than most people who argue about them online. Now, the empowering part, you can't control the CPI, but you have 3 moves it can't take away. Move 1, every raise, run the real number. New salary growth minus the latest headline CPI takes 30 seconds. If it's negative, don't swallow the illusion. Name it. You can't negotiate a problem you haven't measured. Move 2, bring the scoreboard into the review, not anger, arithmetic. The sentence is, with inflation at 3.5%, this offer means my real pay hasn't grown at all. What can we do to close the gap? Managers can dismiss feelings. They can't dismiss the CPI. And remember the 83% stat. The raise pool is fixed, but exceptions, one-time bonuses, and title bumps live outside the pool. Ask for those when the percentage is capped. Move 3, make sure the money you keep isn't losing the same race. Cash in a big bank account earning near 0 loses the full 3.5% a year. High-yield savings, treasury bills, broad index funds for the long game. Different tools, same principle. Your dollars need to grow at least as fast as prices, or they're quietly shrinking. Working harder while your savings work at 0% is running up an escalator that's going down. Stack all 3, and the national slide stops being your slide. The average worker took a pay cut this year. You don't have to be average. A raise is just a number. What it buys is the truth. Now you know where the truth is published every month at 8:30 sharp, and what to do when it isn't in your favor. If this opened your eyes, the earlier episodes of the Illusion Files break down why record national wealth never reaches your bank account. They're on screen now. And subscribe, because next we're walking into the bank itself, the same building that pays your savings 0.01% and charges your credit card 24. We're going to find out who keeps the difference. See you there.